Hey everyone, and welcome back to G Fun Facts Online. Today, we're diving deep into the world of batteries, but not just any batteries. We're talking about the future, solid-state batteries, or SSBs for short. Imagine batteries that are super safe, pack way more power, and last much, much longer. That's the promise of SSBs. Unlike the traditional lithium-ion batteries in your phone or laptop, which rely on flammable liquid electrolytes, SSBs utilize solid materials to transport ions. This significantly enhances safety and enables higher energy densities. Now, the magic of these next-generation batteries, like any battery, hinges on the efficiency of ion movement, or what scientists call ionic conductivity. A critical factor is how well these ions move within the solid electrolyte, and especially across its interfaces with the electrodes. It's at these interfaces and within the electrolyte itself that intriguing and complex phenomena known as space charge layers, or SCLs, come into play. These SCLs hold the potential to either impede or, more excitingly, boost that crucial ionic conductivity. So what on earth are these space charge layers? Well, when two different materials, like an electrode and a solid electrolyte, or even different tiny crystals within the electrolyte, are brought into contact, a fascinating microscopic rearrangement occurs right at their boundary. This rearrangement leads to the formation of a space charge layer, a region where the concentration of mobile charge carriers, like our lithium ions, deviates from their concentration in the bulk of the materials. The fundamental driving force behind SCL formation is the difference in electrochemical potential between the two contacting materials. Mobile ions, and sometimes electrons, near the interface are driven towards the material with the lower chemical potential. This migration of charge continues until an equilibrium is reached, where the chemical driving force is balanced by the repulsive electric field built up by the accumulation of charge. This results in distinct zones near the interface. One side might become enriched with charge carriers, forming an accumulation layer, while the other becomes depleted of them, forming a depletion layer. The formation of this SCL begins the moment an electrode and solid electrolyte make contact. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The presence of SCLs can have a profound, and often complex, impact on the movement of ions, acting as either a barrier or a facilitator. They can be a double-edged sword. In many instances, SCLs are associated with increased interfacial resistance. Think of it like a bottleneck, slowing down the transport of ions and thus hindering the battery's performance, especially its ability to charge and discharge quickly. This is particularly problematic if a depletion layer forms within the electrolyte at the interface, meaning there are fewer mobile ions available to carry the current. Such high interfacial resistance is a key reason for performance issues like short cycling life, low Coulombic efficiency, and poor power performance in SSBs. Sulfide-based solid electrolytes, for example, while highly conductive in their bulk, can suffer from high interfacial resistance with oxide cathodes due to these SCL effects. But conversely, and this is the exciting part, under certain conditions, SCLs can actually enhance ionic conductivity. This is particularly true if the mechanism of ion movement in the electrolyte benefits from an increased concentration of certain types of defects, like ion vacancies. For example, if lithium vacancies enhance lithium-ion conductivity, an SCL that increases these vacancies at the cathode electrolyte interface can be beneficial. There's also a concept called heterogeneous doping, where an interface with a second phase, like insulating nanoparticles dispersed in an electrolyte, induces an SCL that can create new, highly conductive pathways for ions along these interfacial regions. Recent research has excitingly highlighted this beneficial role. For instance, a study from the University of Texas at Dallas, featured in a recent issue of TEAS ACS Energy Letters, revealed that mixing small particles of different solid electrolytes can generate an SCL at their interface that significantly boosts ion movement. They described this as a 1 + 1 > 2 effect, where the mixture performs better than either component alone. This discovery suggests a novel approach to designing superior solid electrolytes by intentionally creating beneficial SCLs. So, what determines the characteristics of an SCL? its thickness, the extent of ion accumulation or depletion, and its impact on conductivity. Well, they aren't universal. They are intricately dependent on a variety of factors. First, the material combinations. The specific electrode and electrolyte materials in contact are paramount. Different materials have different chemical potentials and defect chemistries, leading to vastly different SCL characteristics. Second, electrode voltage. The voltage applied to the electrodes significantly influences the driving forces for ion redistribution and thus the nature of the SCL. Third, defect chemistry. The type and concentration of defects, like vacancies or interstitial ions, in the solid electrolyte are crucial. Scientists often use aliovalent doping, introducing elements with a different charge state, as a strategy to alter defect concentrations and, consequently, SCL properties. Fourth, temperature. Temperature affects both the mobility of ions and the equilibrium of defect formation, thereby influencing SCLs. Studies have shown that the activation energy for ion conduction within an SCL can differ from that in the bulk electrolyte. Fifth, grain boundaries. In polycrystalline electrolytes, which are made of many tiny crystal grains, the boundaries between these individual grains can develop their own SCLs. These can significantly impact overall ionic transport, sometimes acting as resistive barriers, and sometimes as fast diffusion pathways. And finally, Coulomb interactions. The electrostatic interactions between the charged defects within the SCL also play a role, influencing the defect distribution and the overall SCL profile. Now, how exactly can SCLs boost conductivity? The idea revolves around several key mechanisms. 1. By altering local carrier concentrations. By creating regions of ion accumulation or depletion, SCLs change the local availability of charge carriers. If an accumulation layer forms with a high concentration of the primary charge-carrying ion, it can act as a highly conductive pathway. 2. Through the heterogeneous doping or composite effect we touched on earlier, dispersing insulating nanoparticles within a solid electrolyte can lead to the formation of SCLs at the nanoparticle electrolyte interface. These SCLs can have a higher concentration of mobile ion vacancies or interstitials compared to the bulk electrolyte, effectively creating highly conductive pathways along these interfaces. This is often referred to as the composite electrolyte effect. And 3, through synergistic material interactions. As demonstrated by that UT Dallas research, carefully selecting and mixing different solid electrolyte materials can lead to the formation of interfacial SCLs that provide enhanced ion transport pathways not present in the individual materials. The interface itself becomes a unique, highly conductive channel. Given the significant impact of SCLs, researchers are actively exploring ways to control and engineer them to optimize battery performance. Key strategies include interfacial engineering with coatings and buffer layers. Applying thin coating layers at the electrode-electrolyte interface is a widely explored strategy. These layers can prevent detrimental chemical reactions, improve physical contact, and, importantly, modify or suppress the formation of resistive SCLs. For example, a properly chosen buffer layer can facilitate smooth lithium-ion migration across the interface by altering the electrochemical potential landscape. Nanotechnology and nanomaterials are also big. Nanostructuring materials offers unique ways to influence SCLs. Using nanoparticle fillers in composite electrolytes, as mentioned, is one approach. Nanoscale coatings or designing nanoarchitectures at interfaces can provide more precise control over SCL formation and properties. For instance, ferroelectric ceramic ion conductors like Li-Tao, used as functional fillers in polymer-based composite electrolytes, have been shown to alleviate detrimental SCL effects and provide additional Li transport pathways. Smart material design and doping are also critical. Carefully selecting electrode and electrolyte materials with compatible chemical potentials and defect properties is crucial. Doping the electrolyte or the interfacial region can also be used to tailor the defect concentrations within the SCL. And finally, microstructure engineering. Controlling the grain size and morphology of polycrystalline electrolytes can impact the density and nature of grain boundary SCLs, thus affecting overall ionic transport. Peeking into these nanoscale layers requires some pretty sophisticated techniques, especially since SCLs are often only nanometers thick. Scientists use electrochemical impedance spectroscopy, EIS, which probes the electrical properties of materials and interfaces by analyzing the battery's response to small AC electrical perturbations. This helps identify and quantify resistive elements associated with SCLs. Kelvin probe force microscopy, KPFM, is an advanced microscopy technique that can map the surface potential of materials at the nanoscale. *operando** KPFM allows scientists to visualize how the potential distribution, including the SCL, evolves across an interface while the battery is actually operating. Other techniques like electron holography can visualize the electrostatic potential fields of SCLs, and spectroscopic ellipsometry can directly observe their growth. And, of course, theoretical modeling and simulations are indispensable. Computational methods like density functional theory, DFT, and molecular dynamics help understand the fundamental thermodynamics and kinetics of SCL formation and simulate ion transport. The road ahead in studying SCLs and solid-state batteries still has its challenges, but also exciting future directions. SCLs are inherently complex, and their precise characterization remains difficult. It can be hard to decouple their effects from other interfacial phenomena, like chemical decomposition products or poor physical contact. There's even some ongoing debate about their significance. While many studies highlight their crucial role, some modeling suggests that for certain electrode-electrolyte combinations, the SCL might be so thin that its contribution to resistance could be negligible unless a completely ion-depleted layer forms. This shows the impact is highly system-dependent. A major goal is to move from simply understanding SCLs to precisely controlling their formation and properties to consistently enhance battery performance. And naturally, any sophisticated interface engineering needs to be scalable and cost-effective for commercial viability. But the exploration of space charge layers is truly opening up new avenues for optimizing solid-state battery technology. By unraveling the intricate dance of ions at interfaces and learning how to guide their movement through carefully engineered SCLs, scientists are paving the way for the next generation of energy storage. These will be batteries that are not only safer and more powerful, but also designed with an unprecedented understanding of their internal nanoscale landscapes. The continued collaboration between experimentalists and theoreticians, coupled with advancements in characterization techniques and material synthesis, promises a future where the full potential of solid-state batteries, potentially supercharged by well-managed space charge layers, can be realized. That's all for this electrifying episode of Fun Facts Online. I hope you learned something cool about the future of battery tech. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tune in next time for more fun facts. Stay curious, everyone!